All right, we are 7 days away. 7 days away to the election. Now, within these 7 days, I'm going to take several different policy issues and I'm going to compare and contrast Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, I'm going to be as unbiased as I can. Obviously, I have a perspective. I already have mentioned that I will vote for Biden. And as we go through these policy issues, you'll see why, because I'm going to explain my thinking and what shapes my worldview. And that is one of the things that annoys me about mainstream media. A lot of these shows try to make it seem like they are neutral. They call balls and strikes right down the middle. Everybody have a perspective. And it might not be for a specific candidate. It's just about life experiences, your philosophies, what you've been through growing up, that all shapes our worldview. Whether your parents passed down their political beliefs to you, whether they voted Republican all their life, whether they voted Democrat all their life, whether they was into politics at all. It goes for other things too. Religion. Most people follow the religion of their parents. So this just goes down in a number of different issues. Is how we are raised, and also world events and events that happen around us that shapes our perspective. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to be honest about it. And I think I am honest enough about what shaped my perspective and try to give a fair analysis of the situation. So I'm going to be objective, but that doesn't mean I don't have um, a bias. I'm objective on my certain criteria, if that makes sense to y'all. So, what is my criteria and what shaped my worldview about foreign policy? Because that's the first issue that we're going to get into. We're going to break down healthcare. We're going to break down COVID. We're going to break down the economy because most of the attention been on those issues along with corruption. And foreign policy is an issue that kind of been lost amongst this election cycle. And I understand why, because of the issues that I just mentioned is pressing. People is dying right now because of COVID. People are losing their healthcare right now. People are losing their jobs, unemployment benefits. So it's understandable why foreign policy have been lost this cycle. And I can't wait to break down those other issues now. But back to foreign policy. Okay, so what is my philosophy on foreign policy? I believe we should never go to war unless it's absolutely necessary. And when I say war, that includes drone strikes as well. Because people say, oh, well, we're not actually at war because we have no boots on the ground, but yet you just bombing people. And to me, a lot of these drone strikes where you have double taps where they bomb and then people come to clean up the mess and they bomb again. To me, that's not doing nothing but creating more enemies. It's going to be a cycle because if you kill one of my family members, you're an enemy for life. You know, so I know a lot of people think about it as collateral damage, but to those people that losing family members, it's not collateral damage. And I say this all the time: we are way too lax about the loss of human life. A lot of times these end up as just numbers, and that goes against everything I believe in because every life is precious to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny how sometimes pro-life people only care about children or fetuses in the womb, but after they come out, it's like, oh, whatever. We support all these destructive policies. But that's neither here nor there. Um, Back to what shaped my foreign policy views. Tell you a little personal story. You know, I'm into battle rap, and one of the things battle raps is personals. So I'm gonna give a little personal story of mine, right? And this is really what formed my worldview. So I'm a veteran. I went to the military right after high school. It was a basically a year after 9/11. Of course, 9/11 happened September 11th, and I enlisted August 28th of 2002. Um, and I didn't enlist because I was some patriot and I wanted to avenge September 11th. I enlisted like a lot of other people enlisted in the military for economic opportunities. Now, I was broke at the time, especially right after high school. Most high schoolers don't have money, but I lived in a poor neighborhood, and I don't want to create a woe is me mentality because it's a lot of people that had it a lot worse than me. Um, I was lucky compared to some of the other people that I went to school with, but nonetheless, I didn't have a rich family. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to make um, money. Yes, I could have went to college and took loans, but I didn't want to do that at the time. I started doing research, and I was like, "Oh, the Air Force, I could make money and go to college because that's one of the things they were selling. You could go to college while you joined the Air Force." I was like, "Oh, that sounds good. Let me try that." End up not getting the job I wanted. That's a whole different story. But while I was in the Air Force, um, a lot of things in foreign policy happened. I joined 2002. We ended up invading Iraq not too long after that. So that made no sense to me at the time. I knew people that went to Iraq, um, and it just never made sense to me at all, right? Just fast forward a little bit. I get out the Air Force. I work at the VA doing disability claims, and you see all these people coming back messed up from the wars, whether it's PTSD, whether it's missing limbs, whether it's other problems they have for other wars, not just the Iraq war, but even back to the era where veterans was getting sick off of Agent Orange and other pesticides. So seeing all this, I was just thinking, is it worth it? And to me, no. And a lot of the reasons we went to these wars, especially under Iraq, under Vietnam, was under false pretense. You had the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam. You had the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and also insinuated that Saddam Hussein had something to do with September 11th. And it's funny how we pick and choose what dictators we want to take out because a lot of these dictators are American allies. So just seeing the health impact of these veterans coming back. And also beyond when I was with the VA, I continued in healthcare and just seeing people struggle with chronic conditions and how they suffer with mental illnesses. Yeah, it does something to you. It kind of affects and impacts the way you think about these type of issues. At least it did for me. So now that that's out there, that can explain why I believe what I believe when it comes to foreign policy. Now you can take from that what you want, but that's just my view. All right. So specifically, Trump and Biden. Well, I don't think either one of them are particularly good when it comes to foreign policy, and that's a theme you will see with a lot of these policy discussions. So I will give Trump credit when it comes to North Korea. I actually think when it comes to the issue of North Korea, Trump is better than Biden. Now, before y'all jump and try to choke me on this one, right? Like I said, I think Biden overall is better in foreign policy, slightly. But why do I say Trump is better when it comes to North Korea? Do I think it's clownish the way he talks about Kim Jong Un and the beautiful letters and um, how they fell in love? Do I think that's goofy and clownish? Yes, I do. But it's better than war. Now, it's been reported that when President Obama and Donald Trump met, when Donald Trump was president-elect, that President Obama told Trump that the biggest problem that he would face during his presidency would be North Korea. And you remember the first few months of the Trump administration, it really looked like we was about to go to war. Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump was trading insults back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And it really looked like, okay, this is about to be a bad situation. And just to let you know why it would be a bad situation, um, North Korea, the DMZ is right there where Seoul at. Seoul is a giant city, more people than in New York City. Um, Also, if you don't know how the original Korean War was started back in 49 or 50, um, that when the U.S. became involved, they pushed North Korean troops back near the China border. China ended up crossing the border and getting involved in the war. So it was a war of North Korea and China versus U.S. and South Korea. And when the ceasefire happened, that's why the DMZ was created. So it wouldn't just be a war with North Korea. You got to think, okay, will China get involved because they won't want something like that so close to their border. If China get involved, what will happen with Japan? What will happen with Taiwan? It's a domino effect, and it could potentially lead to a world type of situation. We don't want that. Obviously, we don't want millions of people dying. So is that critical? Do I want North Korea with a nuclear weapon? No, I don't want any country with a nuclear weapon. I wish we didn't have it, but reality is reality. It's too late for that. We have nuclear weapons. Several other countries have nuclear weapons. And unfortunately, that's what it is at this time. I believe North Korea already have nuclear capabilities. So when Biden says that, okay, I'm not going to meet with them unless this, and that happen, we're not going to legitimize them. Well, it doesn't matter if you legitimize them or not because they already here. His regime is already intact and been intact since the ceasefire. So to me, it doesn't make much sense. It's kind of like the embargo in Cuba, where we did that until the Obama administration overturned it. I'm gonna get to that too. But so the fact that Trump didn't stop North Korea from advancing their nuclear program, to me, I don't know what he could have did about that besides go to war, because we have had tons of sanctions on North Korea already. It doesn't seem to work. And are you willing to go to war to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon? I'm not. I don't want them to have it, but to me, it's not worth going to war over. It wouldn't be a net benefit to the U.S., in my opinion. So I give that one to Trump. And Biden just seems like he's a little bit too hawkish for my taste when it comes to North Korea. And you don't have to like the regime, because there's tons of bad regimes around the world. It just doesn't make sense to have military action at the time. So that's North Korea. That's number one. All right. Now, I gave Trump credit on North Korea. It's just the opposite way around when it comes to Iran. Trump have been belligerent and irresponsible with the Iran situation. First of all, he outright lies. When he came to office, he pushed and got it accomplished throwing out the Iran nuclear deal. First of all, he said that we was giving Iran about $1 billion, which is a outright and utter lie, a straight up lie. All right. What the situation is, when Iran was compliant with the terms of the deal, the partners in Iran deal could go to Iran and inspect their nuclear levels, because they was allowed to use nuclear power, but it's just not to the level where they can't create a weapon. And because of that, we would take some of the sanctions that was on Iran off, and they had access to their own money. It's their money. It's not American money. So it's a lie that they told on purpose. It's an outright lie, and it's disgusting. Trust Biden way more on this issue, because Biden was a part of the administration that created the deal in the first place. So Biden gets a thumbs up on that, and I trust him to handle this situation way more than Trump. Not even to mention that we had the top Iranian general assassinated. Then they bombed one of our bases. Granted, a base that was basically empty at the time, but nonetheless, they bombed one of our bases. That could have been a bad situation. Could have been a very bad situation. So I trust Biden way more going forward in this situation. Okay, fast forward a little bit, or let's just say rewind. I also give Biden credit with being on the right side of history when it came to South Africa and the apartheid government. At the time, the Reagan administration was supporting the South African apartheid regime. Biden was on the right side of that issue. He didn't, so he get credit with that. However, he was terrible when it comes to the Iraq War. He's one of the Democrats that voted for the Iraq War. Actually, there's quite a few. The majority of Democrats voted for the Iraq War, unfortunately, especially in the Senate. And the Iraq War is one of the worst foreign policy decisions in modern times. We still dealing with the consequences of invading Iraq to this day. Right? Also, another strike against Biden is Libya. I mean, the Libya situation, and President Obama admitted this, that was probably his worst decision as president. And I concur. The invading Libya was terrible. Terrible. And that was one of the reasons why I wasn't pro Hillary Clinton in 2016, even though I preferred she win over Donald Trump. I'd have preferred that she was president over Trump, but I didn't like her either. Libya was one of the main reasons as well. Just a terrible decision. I'm not even talking about the conspiracy theories with Benghazi or anything like that. I'm talking about just pure policy. Libya is a failed state now. There's literal slave trades that have been going on in Libya after Gaddafi was thrown out of power. Again, it's not that I support Kim Jong-un or Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein. No, I think they all murderous dictators, right? And sociopaths. But does it make sense for us to have military force to remove them? That should be the absolute last option. And in none of these situations, it made sense at all. So terrible decision by Biden when it comes to that. Again, neither one of them are good when it comes to foreign policy. Let's talk about drone strikes. Biden not really good when it comes to that. The Obama administration increased drone strikes from the Bush administration, but the Trump administration have increased drone strikes from the Obama administration. So neither one of them are really good when it comes to that. So overall, why do I think Biden is slightly better when it comes to this? I think Biden is slightly better just because going forward, I think Iran will still be a hotbed issue, and I trust Biden more going forward on that. Even though Biden is more hawkish from North Korea than I would like, I think they're smart enough not to get involved in a big war with North Korea. I trust that Biden wouldn't do that. I also trust Biden to put more money behind the VA and healthcare overall, because it's not just about the VA. So I think Biden's entire approach to healthcare is much better than Trump's, and that is an issue when it comes to, again, foreign wars and injuries, PTSD, mental health. And I think Biden actually have policies on these issues, and I trust him more on that. So again, it's close. I don't think Biden is good, but I think he's just slightly better than Trump when it comes to this. And for me, I know people don't like voting for the lesser of two evils, but when you talk about human life, this could make a difference between life and death for a lot of people, all of these issues. So that's why my philosophy is to vote, even if you don't necessarily love the candidate. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm explaining my stance on it. I'm explaining what I think is right, but ultimately we all got to make our own decisions. What do y'all think? If you disagree, it's fine to disagree, but try to be respectful. I know you trolls out there. It's not going to do that, but it is what it is. But yeah, so hopefully you have a clear picture of why I think what I think, because I think more people need to explain their point of view and why they have the philosophy they have instead of just being totally about emotion. You could disagree with me, but I reasoned out why I'm supporting who I supported and who I give an edge to in a certain issue. And again, there could be an argument on this specific issue, that Trump could be better than Biden. You could make that argument because Biden record is bad. On some of these other policy issues I'm about to discuss, it's not so clear. I think some of these Biden blow Trump out of the water when it comes to specific policies, and we're going to get into those too. But just to say what I mean, make sure you subscribe, share the video if you like the content. Yeah, I'm looking forward. We're about to go higher with this channel. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You're about to see some changes coming up. Thanks. Peace out.